Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial. In this video we're going to start creating the cushions to finish our sofa. This is the result at the end of the video. Well, this is going to be the result at the end of the video. We're going to create a mesh, and then we're going to modify it. I'm going to explain you how to, but I'm just going to record how to create one, and you guys are going to create the others. So yeah, let's start. This is our sofa, and this is the result from last video. Let's start by adding a cube. And first I'm gonna do is I'm going to name it so we're going to scale it. We're not going to have a huge cushion. So this is a good size. We're going to work with this cube. Now we're going to be working during all the way with mirror, so we'll do it in a second. Okay. We're going to hide when texturing our seam here, so we're going to work with this zoom. Just okay. Let's delete those faces and start working with. I'm going to apply rotation and scale, by the way, and let's start working with mirror, y-axis, and clipping. Okay, I'm going to add two lap cuts, one in x-axis and going to scale it, and the other one is going to be in z-axis. I'm not going to touch this vertex too much. I'm going to move this along z-axis. Wait, this vertex here, z-axis, and maybe just this a little in x. Okay, now something I'm gonna do is I'm going to move this in y-axis because that's too much, and I'm going to scale it just like this, maybe. Okay, we're going to add a lap cut in here, and we're going to give it a shape until we start using subdivision surface. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's maybe too much, but let's see. Going to use smoothing here. once. I don't like it. I'm going to scale it and move it in y-axis. This one I'm going to scale it just a little more. Okay. Now, we're going to scale this from cursor in y-axis, this facing here, because we're going to hide our seam in here, and that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to add a loop cut in here because of subdivision surface later, and another lap cut in here. Okay, we're going to add lap cut in here and here, here and here, but that's just to hold the shape with surface, subdivision surface, and I'm going to use it first and then add the lap cuts, because as you can see this is shapeless. It has lost completely the shape we create. So I'm moving the edge with edge slide, but I think that dot 7 is too much. Maybe dot 6 negative, it's fine. So now this is looking not good at all, but we have to modify a few things and then it's going to look better. For example, we're going to scale this. Now we're going to select these faces and scale it, shift y-axis. Okay, we're going to use optimal draw, optimal display, and let me see. Okay, this is completely flat in here, or planar, or you get it. So I'm going to move it and then scale it, maybe just a little more in y-axis, and then scale it a little more. Okay, I'm going to move this y-axis too, and now let's check how smooth it's going to make it look like. I'm going to scale the corners, shift y-axis, to make them sharp. I'm going to move the edge loop like that. Let me see how much. Dot 5. Now dot 3 maybe. Like that again. Now we're going to scale this y-axis because we don't like this curve we are creating here, this. So let's change shift y axis, scale shift y axis just a little. Now front cursor, and we're going to scale this in y axis. And this, okay, let's check. I'm going to scale this in y axis a little more, and this one just a little in C. Okay, I'm going to check. I'm just tweaking a few things. Okay, just checking now. We're going to create the 4 cushions from this one, so it's kind of important that you get the result you want to. Let me check something. Okay, we're going to start working with this object. So I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, I'm going to rename this as backup, and this is rename it because I create another cushion and I didn't erase it before I start recording, so that's why when I change the name, and it's adding those numbers. Okay, now this is going to be our backup, and we're going to move it. Well, I'm going to show you the ones I create before the tutorial. I'm going to erase them in a second. Okay, this is our backup, so I'm going to move it to last layer. I'm going to play rotation and scale, and I'm going to duplicate this, move it to layer 1, and rename. There it is. Now I'm going to add, just as with the other cushions, some lap cuts in here and here, and we're going to create detail and wrinkles and those things. So maybe 2 lap cuts, it's enough. you'll notice that when you add lap cuts, um, the shape is changing few things. So I noticed that I want to scale this in x-axis before adding the lap cuts. So I'm going to scale in x-axis, and I will remember how much to change the original, the backup. I'm going to scale it in x-axis dot 95. Yeah, 95. Okay, that's it. I changed in the last minute. Okay, that's the shape we want. So first thing I want to try is to scale this in y-axis just a little and then move it. Okay. I noticed that you can see a dot in here, and it's because I moved the vertex in the middle when I was modifying this. I don't know if you remember, but I'm going to fix it in here even with these laps, with the lap cuts, and then later I'm going to change the backup. Okay, we're going to start creating some wrinkles. Well, let me just scale this a little to y-axis. Okay, now I'm going to select this loop and move it in x-axis, I mean, like here, and I'm going to move this in x-axis in here. So this one, the one in the middle, I'm going to move it in x-axis but in the opposite direction, like this. And from cursor, I'm going to cursor to selected. I'm going to scale this in y-axis a little. Scale it in y-axis. And a little more in x-axis. Okay. Scale it is in x-axis. I'm rotating. And I'm going to scale this in y-axis again, but this time is going to be the opposite direction than this loop in here. So this means that this is going to be thicker. Okay. Just moving a few things, and again I'm going to scale this. You know what? I'm going to scale all this. Scaling x-axis. Scaling y-axis, I mean. Okay, you can see the wrinkle in here, but it's not so pronounced yet, so we're going to modify it just a little to make it look better. To make it look really obvious. Okay, now we're going to make this wrinkle moving in the cushion. Maybe we're going to do it by moving this vertex vertices in here in y-axis. I'm going to move them in y-axis just like that. And moving vertex in here in the opposite direction of y-axis. I move this, so I'm going to move this out. From cursor I'm going to rotate this because we're going to create 4 cushions and all should look different, one from each other. So I'm going to be rotating a few things and then scaling, just as we did with the last cushion with the cylinder. Okay. For example, I'm going to create another wrinkle in here, and for example with this loop I'm going to move this in and this I'm going to move them out, so you will see at the end of the video or later. Just scaling this in y-axis. And then just creating some contrast from here, from this loop, with this part of the cushion. Okay. I want to move I want to move these vertices in here just a little more in y-axis. This one in the opposite direction. Okay, remember guys to don't create the cushion just as I'm doing this. Just all you have to do is to get the techniques, to know how to create the cushions, to know how to create, how to move, when to move, because you're going to create the other cushions. I'm just going to show you how to create one, so you have to get the idea, to know how to do it. So now we're going to add a wrinkle in here, because here is looking like if it is lift up, and we want to create, we're going to follow those movements. So I'm going to move this in y-axis. Maybe too much. Okay. Okay, now I told you that this is in, so this is going to be out. And if we're going to be using this out, we're going to create this, the wrinkle. So by the way guys, if you just at the end of the video just duplicate this cushion, um, it's not going to be looking good, because you will you will probably notice that you have four cushion with exactly same shape, so this is not, it's not natural, not with real life things, and in a cushion it's like impossible, I guess. So you really have to do it. You can try other techniques if you want to, but don't duplicate. Maybe you want, you can sculpt as I told you before. You can try with sculpting, which is very useful in here, but for me I don't really like that much, because I don't want to have a lot of geometry and make this really heavy. Even when it's going to be a steel, I don't want this scene to be um, 20 megas or something like that. Okay, now as you can see, we're getting the shape. I'm going to make a few changes in here. For example, I think that these movements in here are maybe too much. Maybe maybe I get excited. I'm moving the view to the side because I want to see how much are the wrinkles. If there is too much, for example in here, you will notice that maybe that's a big difference. And other thing I'm going to use is this with the subsurf, to have a clear vision of the differences, the contrast. If I get too excited, I'm going to change it at the end. For now, I'm going to continue with the work, because change it is not going to be that hard. Now, I have to tell you guys that I'm using mirror, and this side is, this side in here is a copy of this, but the camera is never going to be looking this side of the cushion, so it's not necessary to apply the modifier mirror and make changes from this side to this side. The camera maybe is going to be looking this side of the cushion, the one I'm showing you with the cursor, and this side is going to be touching the sofa or the couch, whatever. So maybe this cushion needs some tweaking, but I'm going to show you very quickly. Apply rotation scale, and I'm going to be using normal with this. I'm going to rotate this. Let's scale this in X, which means normal axis. I'm going to move it in Z axis to be touching the sofa, just like that. What is that? Okay, I'm going to check in a minute. Okay, and now I'm going to move it in Y axis, and then X axis, and this is pretty much how cushions are going to be. I will rotate it in X axis, normal X axis, just a little more. So let me explain you. Maybe you can create the second cushion in here, and then you could duplicate them and use them in this side. But for example, camera is going to be like this maybe. So we're looking, this side of the cushion is this side in here. So maybe you could rotate this in Z axis 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees I mean, and then you can duplicate them if you want, because give me a second, because if you see this if you see the sofa in this way, you cannot notice that this cushion is a duplicate of this. So maybe that way you could do it. Maybe I will do it after recording this video, but let me tell you that I never apply rotation and scale with this kind of objects in here because, for example, if I want it in the with a clear rotation, all I have to do is Alt R, and there it is. So I use to apply rotation only when it is in this kind of angles. I don't know how to say it in English. Now I'm going to check what's happening here. Okay, you can notice that with clipping I get a mistake in here. Well, with clipping, if you touch the middle of the object, it's going to scale it to 0. So now I guess I get this ugly thing in here that of course is a mistake and was not plain. So what I'm gonna do, I have the idea to quit clipping for a second, move this, then quit this, move it. I have the direction with normals, so that's helping me. And I'm going to move this just a little, like in here, and then okay, there it is. Clipping again, and I hope you don't get the same mistake I get. I don't know how it happened, but it's fixed now. So, well guys, I'm going to be tweaking a few things of this cushion. Maybe if I get too excited I'm going to use it softer, but that's pretty much how you create the cushion and how you create all the detail. Now you have how to rotate it. I show you with the normals, and never apply it rotation and scale with that kind of rotation, because maybe even we're going to need it when texturing, when you need to project from view and things like that. So that's it guys. In the next video we're going to have 4 cushions here, and hope to see you soon.